Welcome to the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs is the largest by far network of real estate investors in the great state of Texas, with over 100,000 members, participants, and attendees going all the way back to 2003. So if you have the slightest interest in real estate, they say the very first thing to do is to go join your local real estate investor association. So why do you care? Well, the reason you might want to care is because real estate is local. Laws are local. Contracts are local. Contractors are local. Buyers and sellers are local. Houses are local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate, and they all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. But real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, and which neighborhoods to invest in here, and which strategies to use here, and where to get your power team money and resources here, where do you get all that? And the answer is you get that at your local real estate investor association. My job is to make you all into educated and contributing members of this community. So welcome everybody. We are live and we're also broadcasting online. If you are on GoToWebinar, you are watching live. If you are on social media, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, or Twitch, you may or may not be live, but if you'd like to come to one of our many events, we publish them on our website, flipping.com/events. And this network has events every week, sometimes multiple times every single week. So extensive training on every topic under the sun. All right, so I'm going to start this presentation by answering a question of where to start. People ask me all the time, where should I get started? Should I do residential? Should I do commercial? Should I do active or should I do passive? And my answer is yes, we love them all. We do all of these things, active, passive, residential, and commercial. And they're all great. You know, none of them are better than others. What just matters is which one is best for you. And I would answer that question by asking you to ask yourself the question, why are you here? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? So for example, if you said, I want to supplement my income, quit my job, I want to make an extra 6 figures. I want to make an extra $100,000 in the next 12 months. That's my goal. If that's your goal, then I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. Flipping houses is the fastest way to make $100,000 or more in a relatively short amount of time. There's numerous ways you can do it. You can do it with other people's money. You can do it with no money. There's many free strategies, on and on and on. That's probably the best and fastest way to quit your job, supplement your income, make yourself an extra $100,000, create a side hustle. Now, if you say, but that's not why I'm here, I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking to do is I am looking to build my wealth. I like my job, I'm good with that. I want to build my wealth. I want to be as wealthy as possible in the future. Well, if that's why you're here, then I'm going to tell you, great, you should be buying rental properties. In my opinion, everybody should be buying rental properties. I've been buying rental properties for 21 years in Texas. And when I started to buy rental properties, I bought most of my rental properties in Austin, Texas. And I got to tell you, I paid a lot for them. When I started buying rental properties, the market was very hot, very, very expensive. And I paid ridiculous amounts of money, looking back, I paid ridiculous amounts of money for my rental properties. Some of these properties I paid like $120,000 for, some like $140,000, maybe even $150,000. Right? I know, crazy, right? Crazy prices, right? They were crazy prices. Now today, those same houses are selling for $850,000, $750,000, $1.2 million. So yeah, things have changed. And I got to tell you, here's something about real estate and long-term real estate. Do a little audience participation. I'd like to get you guys to vote a little bit. So what do you think of the prices right now? You think prices are high? You think prices are low? Let's do a little vote. Like to get everybody's opinion. Opinions can't be wrong. So who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Raise your hand if you think houses are kind of expensive right now. Okay. Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Okay. I think they are dirt freaking cheap. I am astounded when I look at the market that they're practically giving them away. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. It's just my opinion how cheap they are. But you know what? Don't listen to me. I want you to ask somebody else what their opinion is, somebody that you trust. In fact, I want you to ask the person that you trust more than anybody in the world, because I know you'll listen to them, right? I want you to ask that person what their opinion is of real estate prices today, okay? Here's who I want you to ask. I want you to ask future you, okay? I want you to ask yourself 20 years in the future, what do you think about real estate prices, right, in Houston, Texas in 2024. And I'm going to tell you what future you is going to say. Oh my God, do you realize you could have bought houses in Houston, Texas for less than $2 or $3 million a piece? You should have bought them all. Yeah, that's what future you is going to tell you. And I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this for 21 years, and 21 years in a row, everybody coming in the market says exactly the same thing. I can't believe houses are so expensive. I should have bought them 5 years ago. Right? And you know what? In 5 years, you know what you're going to say? I can't believe houses are so expensive. I should have bought them 5 years ago. Okay? So buy them now. That's my advice. By the way, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be right now. Like you're planting trees right now, right? That you will go for. That's your future. 20 years from now, your future. Most of my wealth today came from decisions I made 20 years ago. If I could only go back, I would have bought them all. All right. So if that's what you're looking to build as wealth, then I'm going to say you should be buying rental properties. Now, if you say, but that's not still it, what I'm looking to do is to make money with my money. I have money, and I want to make money with my money. Well, if that's what you're here to do, I'm going to tell you, you should be investing in commercial syndications. Commercial syndications typically have twice the return of the stock market and half the risk. You put in 50, you get back 100. You put in 100, you get back 200. You can use your IRA or 401k. People don't know that, but you can. And I got to tell you, nobody ever goes back to the stock market once they learn about commercial syndications. Private equity. Wealthy people do not invest in the stock market. That's public equity. Wealthy people invest in private equity, okay? Not publicly. Anybody can buy Apple computer stock. No, to do private equity, you have to know the people with the deals. This is insider trading, which is illegal in the stock market, but advisable in real estate, okay? Totally legal and recommended. Nobody ever goes back to the stock market once they learn about commercial syndication. So if you're saying, that's why I'm here, I got 50,000, 100,000, I got some money, I want to just put my money into something, right, and double it with higher returns than the stock market, less risk, I'd say put it in commercial syndications. And by the way, when I'm telling you all this, I'm not here to pitch you something. I don't have one of these that I'm going to push you towards. You're all here for your own reasons. I'm just giving you the difference, and you're going to decide kind of where you want to go based on what you want to do. Now, that being said, if you're here because you're saying, I don't want to do the little deals, I want to do the big deals. I'm ready to make $1 million a year, 2 million, 4 million, 8 million, 10 million. I want to do the big deals. If that's why you're here, I'm going to tell you, you should be sponsoring syndications. Typical syndication, like a $10 million building, how do you do that? To buy a $10 million building, you get a $7 million loan, not based on you, based on the building, right? So anybody can do this. And then you raise maybe $3 million from investors. How do you do that? You get 60 people to invest $50,000 apiece. You got your $3 million, right? And typically putting that deal together, and by the way, we have 1,000 of these investors already in this network that want to do these deals. That's how you do a syndication. Typically, you put together a syndication, you're going to make $1 million on a $10 million deal. You're going to make $2 million on a $20 million deal. You're going to make $4 million on a $40 million deal. Same amount of work, just more money. But if that's why you're here, yeah, you should be syndicating deals. You should be doing commercial syndications. So they're all good. Now, most people start by flipping houses. And then once you have more money than you need to pay your bills, you're going to want to make money with your money. So you're going to want to use some of that to buy some of those rental properties. And then once you have more money than you need, you got some extra money to invest, you're going to start investing passively, and you're going to want to do commercial syndications because it's higher return, less risk. And then after that, you're going to want to sponsor syndications. So those are the kind of directions most people go in. Now, here at flipping.com and Texas REIAs, we love them all. We do them all. We have training, resources, and a network and support for all of these things. They're all fantastic. It's just which one is right for you. In fact, let me do a little poll of the audience, and there's no right or wrong, so you can't be wrong. But let's just see kind of where you guys are, where your heads are at. How many of you want to make yourself 6 figures in the next 12 months? Who's here because you want to make $100,000 or more in the next 12 months? Okay. How many of you are here mostly because you want to build your wealth, long-term wealth? Long-term wealth, that's very popular. How many of you are here because you want to make money with your money, want to put your IRA in something better than the stock market? Who wants to, a lot of people on that side. Okay, who's ready to do the syndications? Who's ready to do the big commercial deals? Okay, we got to mix a little of everything. All right, so they're all great. I will say if you're specifically interested in commercial, you might want to take a little snapshot of this QR code. We have some special free training available. And all these QR codes, by the way, that we put up, you don't have to enter your name or anything. You just take a picture, it sends a text from your phone, you get some stuff text back to you. This is how we communicate with our members. We have all kinds of resources. And you just take pictures of the ones you like and you'll get connected up. Okay, so great. So most of you started by saying you're interested in 1 and 2. So we're going to start by talking about 1 and 2. And like I said, we do all of this stuff, so let's get started with number 1 and number 2. So if your goal is to build wealth and or generate income in the short term, great. Good news, we have a dozen ways to do that, a dozen different strategies that you can use to do that. In fact, we have 11 different strategies that are just designed to generate income. I'm going to teach you some of this stuff. And then we have another strategy for buying and holding real estate. And buying and holding real estate, here's the cool thing. We have some proprietary tools that only exist in this network where you can literally look at the millions of records of sales in Texas going back 20 years, and you can identify exactly which neighborhoods using our heat maps to buy and hold in and which neighborhoods to fix and flip in. So we have tools where we can show you on a street-by-street basis where to buy and hold and where to fix and flip. So it's very powerful when you're getting started. But let's get into some of these strategies. And by the way, I'm Phil Grove. Some of you saw that introduction earlier. I've been a real estate investor for 21 years now. I started my first deal on December 15, 2003. Been involved in a lot of deals, over 1,200 deals. Own about $30 million in rental properties. That was the smartest thing I did, right? I bought $30 million worth of rental. They weren't $30 million when I bought them. Now they're $30 million. But, if I could only go back, we interview people in the network, and we always ask the people the same question. We like, what is your biggest regret? You'll never find a millionaire real estate investor that won't answer that question the same way. I wish I started sooner. Yeah. So now would be good. Made a lot of money along the way, and I've taught over 100,000 people. I enjoy teaching. I'm pretty well known in Texas. Maybe I've taught more Texans how to invest in Texas than anybody else, but I've been doing this for a long time. So welcome again to the REIA. These are some of the deals that I flipped. I have flipped a lot of houses, as you can see, and we're going to talk about them. I can't show them all to you, but I do up to a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. And what that does is it creates money in big chunks. Now that sounds good, doesn't it? Money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound good. I'm here to teach you. How does this work, and what does this mean? The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. What kind of problems? They have a house they don't want, a mortgage they can't afford. Problems to entrepreneurs are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Big opportunities. So if you're thinking like, I don't want any problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Something all entrepreneurs have in common with each other is entrepreneurs help the world by solving the world's problems. We solve real estate problems. We have all kinds of very creative solutions to solve every imaginable real estate problem. So let me give you some examples. We call this money in big chunks. Money in big chunks. I found somebody facing foreclosure, big problem, and I gave them an out, an alternative to a foreclosure, something called a short sale that allowed them to sell their house without having to bring money to the table, without completely destroying their credit. And I made $16,000 helping somebody solve a problem. REO. REO stands for real estate owned, bank owned properties. Banks do not want to own real estate. They're not in that business. So I took this off the bank's hands and I flipped it, and I made $36,000. A guy had a legal problem, had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can. Flipped it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to, no money, no credit. That was pretty awesome. Flipped it and made $68,000. Okay, $5,600 for an assignment deal. $6,000 for a mortgage assignment, $10,000 for a wholesale, $2,800 for a small referral, $12,400 for another referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us, and for every different kind of problem there is, here's the good news, we have a strategy, a solution that helps them, is about helping people, solves their problem, solves their need, and gets us paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months for $5,000? I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. And I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours. But that's not how it works either. It's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question is, how often do you get 100 phone calls? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do. Do you get 100 phone calls every week? Do you get 100 phone calls every month? Do you get 100 phone calls every year? That depends on you. How much marketing that you do, how many deals you're looking at. So there's 2 essential skills you have to learn to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost skill is marketing. Marketing is finding the deal. It's generating the lead. We need to spend 85% of our time and money on marketing, generating the lead, finding the deal, and we outsource everything else. The next skill we have to learn is strategy. Strategy is doing the deal, solving the problem. We buy houses, we help people sell houses, get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want, can't afford anymore. We do that in a variety of different ways. It solves a variety of different problems. So marketing is strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, and solving problems. We use 65 tested, proven mechanisms for finding off-market wholesale deals. We use a dozen different strategies, technique strategies, to help people solve the problems, get ourselves paid. Over half of the marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. And 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money and no credit strategies. When you learn how to buy real estate with no money and no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. How many do you want to buy? All of them. Yeah, when I throw out a question, if you just kind of say all of them, you're probably going to get it right. Okay, so marketing strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Let us get started with the marketing. But first, actually, I'm going to tell you a little story. This was my very first deal. This was actually the very first house that I flipped on December 15, 2003, 21 years ago. But I'll tell you a little story. On December 14th, 2003, I was scared to death. Actually, was being coached and mentored by the 2 guys who ran the REIA back then. They both called me on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. Are you sure this is going to work? Right? I'm telling them I don't want to lose any money. Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're scared, I get it, I can relate, and I can help. But I had one other thing that was also motivating me to take action. I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I got to tell you guys, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's exactly where I was on December 15, 2003. I needed a different life. And I got to tell you, you get one life, and it just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy. Yes, congratulations, thank you. And this last weekend, I noticed there was a 15-year-old running around in my house. And he wants a car. And he's taller than me. And it's like, what happened? I remember feeding him a few times, but is that all it takes? I mean, it's like he's bigger than me. It's like the 15 years of my life, just a blur. It's just a blur. And I got to tell you, everybody that gets into this business, they always say the same thing. I wish I started sooner, right? So if you're not on a trajectory to getting the life that you want, if you're not reaching your God-given potential, maybe it's time to change the trajectory. Almost 80% of the millionaires in this country got there all or in part through investing in real estate. So I translate that to be, that means it's really hard to become a millionaire not investing in real estate. So let me tell you just a little bit more about that very first deal. Because your first deal, in so many ways, is your most important deal. It's kind of like your first kiss, right? Everybody remembers their first kiss. Life-changing experience. Everybody remembers their first deal. Life-changing experience. Let me show you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. I was actually a very slow starter. I got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA. Bought it using OPM, what is that? Other people's money, private money lenders. There's over 1,000 private money lenders here in this network. Private money lender loaned me the money. Got a contractor, got a lot of contractors here at the REIA to fix it. Got a realtor here at the REIA to sell it. Got an attorney and title company right here at the REIA to close it. And I went to the very first closing and picked up that very first check for $15,384.26. And you know, when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment that they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed the theory. But the second they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. You see, I didn't know anything different except I knew it actually worked. And what I realized when they handed me that check is if I did this and this and this again, I get another check, right? It worked the first time. If I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. If I did this, and this again, I get another check. But the really big deal that I realized when they handed me that very first check, at that moment I realized that I would never, ever, 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 ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. And I have not worked for anybody else, even for 1 second, since they handed me that check. So if you're new and you're getting started, here's my first piece of advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal, because that very first deal will change your life, mostly by changing your mindset. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined, not as hard as doing deal number 1. So I told you I was going to tell you what I did right, but I also am going to tell you what I did wrong. I did make one big rookie mistake right out of the chute. And it's the same mistake that just about every rookie makes. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal. As soon as I found the deal, I kind of put my marketing on hold. I picked up a hammer. I started managing some contractors. I worked on that deal. I finished that deal. I got that check, only to wake up the next day and realize I had absolutely nothing to do. Well, except start the whole business all over again. And this gets me to my very first takeaway, and this is it, and this is frankly the big one. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. It's all about finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? As soon as you find a property and get it under contract, whatever money was going to be made or not made on that deal, it's done right at that moment. You make the money on the buy. Yeah, you get the money at the end on the sell, but you make the money on the buy. And once you realize that, you always need to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. Because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up. The rookies all put all their energy into finding a deal. They find a deal, they do a deal, they make some money, great. But while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So when the deal's over, they got no other deals, so they have to reset the marketing, start the whole thing all over again, work, work, work. Eventually they find a deal, they do a deal, they make money, great. But while they're working on that deal, they're not looking for the next deal. And their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the only way to do that is to always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal, because the next deal is more important, always more important than the deal you have now. So finding deals, right? This whole shooting match. Oh, by the way, the deals you're looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS, let's talk about the MLS. The MLS is the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I love and adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I want to go to resell it? On the MLS. Because it's been proven, right? It's that any property sold on the MLS will sell for the most it could possibly be sold for. That's just never we're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would rarely be a deal that a real estate investor would ever take a second look at. So, finding deals. Oh, here's this rookie mistake. Again, find a deal, stop marketing, restart the marketing, find a deal, their income goes up and down and up and down and up and down as they turn the marketing on and off and on and off and on and off. Okay, so yeah, you always have to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing. The next deal is more important than the deal you have now. You never stop marketing. Okay, so finding deals. Once I realized this whole shoot and match is about finding deals, well, then I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different methods for finding deals. Now, actually, that's not totally accurate to say I developed 65 methods. What would be a little more accurate is to say I found 65 things that work, and I started to do those things. In fact, I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson I'm going to teach you today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first, I need to unteach you all something. Okay, I got to unteach you all something. When you guys are in elementary school, okay, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? Cheating. And you were all told that cheating is what? Bad, wrong. Okay, we're not a bunch of little kids. We're not in elementary school anymore. Going forward, I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Cheating is actually the shortcut. Okay, what am I saying up here? What I'm trying to say is this: there's nothing you're trying to do, there's absolutely nothing that you're trying to figure out that I and other people haven't done and figured out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys who write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate down to the street address for all the major streets across the state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact marketing list. We know the exact words to say. We know the exact offers to make. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome the objections. We even know on average how many contracts that we're going to get signed for every 20,000 letters we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. And once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had actually done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out and I just started to, here's that word, copy, right? That word copy, the 65 tested, proven ways to actually find deals. Now, some of these methods take time, by the way, and some of these methods take money. When you get started, you probably have more time and less money. Once you get going, you have more money and less time. I will be honest with you, I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're probably going to insource mostly. So then what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first set of strategies has to do with buying marketing lists. You can get marketing lists. What do you do with a marketing list? Well, you do marketing. You can send them letters and postcards. You can call them on the phone. You can email them. You can have a CRM system drop a voicemail, pre-recorded voicemail into their voicemail box. You can knock on their door, okay? Or you can do what I do and use an AI-powered chat bot to chat with them while you're sleeping, okay? Because I don't have time to call 10,000 people, but my AI does, and it chats with them while they're sleeping, right? And then it schedules you appointments with the people who actually want to talk to you. Okay, or you can use a combination of those things, which we call a multi-touch campaign. This is where you get your deals. So what are some of the popular marketing lists? Well, you can get a list of people that are late paying their taxes, people that are late paying their mortgage, 30, 60, 90, 120 days late paying their mortgage. You can get a list of people who are on their way to foreclosure, right? Their house has been transferred to an attorney. You can get a list of people who filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income, okay, to pay a mortgage. Now, one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves, maybe a motivated seller. You can get a list of people who've inherited a house from somebody that passed away, people who are going to get a house from somebody that passed away, even though there was no will. You can get an AI model list. You know, they know everything about you, computers and big data. They have all kinds of information, and these AI programs can analyze data to figure out who's a motivated seller and who's not a motivated seller. You can get a list of people who've been just dismissed from bankruptcy, certainly a lot of financial distress there. You can get a non-owner occupied list. This is a list of people that own a house where they don't live in the house they own. Well, technically, those are landlords, and a lot of them are accidental landlords. They couldn't sell a house, so they rented it out, or they let an ex-spouse or family member or friend or neighbor stay in a house, or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. They didn't really plan on being a landlord. They don't really know how to be a landlord. Very often, they eventually become motivated sellers. You can get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. The city is already driving around, issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, deferred maintenance houses. Do you know you can get a list of every problem property in the city from the city, right? A lot of them are motivated sellers. You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that hired a realtor, put it on the MLS, and tried to sell it and didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever. So what we can call them, right? But they need solutions probably that other people don't know. So we do know those solutions. They probably need solutions realtors don't have. So you send letters, postcards, text messages, door knocks, or some combination of marketing to these lists of people, right, that have problems. Some of them will call you back. Those are called leads. If you give them a solution to their problem, we have a solution to every problem. Some of them will say yes, and those are called deals. With a website, you can get leads on the internet. Bayonet signs, 18 by 24 inch plastic signs. You see them on the side of the road. We buy houses. Why do you see those signs on the side of the road? Because they actually work. Other things that work. Online ads work, okay? Email autoresponders, magnetic signs, a little sign in the side of your car. You buy the sign once, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers, you don't want to pay postage. You can pay somebody 10 cents a door to put a door hanger or door flyer on every door in a neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free, driving for dollars. Sometimes I'm just driving around and I see a tarp on a roof. You know, they might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, okay, a house, has a serious problem, okay, a leak, and their solution was to do what? To go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't fix the roof? What do you think? No money. Same guy's not fixing the roof, he's not paying his mortgage, not paying his taxes, not paying his insurance. Sooner or later, an investor is going to buy that property. Okay, what are the other marketing methods? Oh, wait, we interrupt this program for a special announcement. Yes, we have a special announcement. So the Texas REIAs is a large network of real estate investor associations, real estate investors, that provides resources for real estate investors. What kind of resources? Market data, we're going to do a market update, training, we're doing some training, networking, meetings. We have a vast sort of power team resources. Vendors are paying for this. We have hundreds of vendors that provide money and leads and marketing services and insurance and title companies and everything you need to be a real estate investor. And one of the other resources that we provide to real estate investors is training. And we provide detailed training for real estate investors. And there's a couple of things that are unique about our training. Number one, we are Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. And this is world-class Texas training. There's a lot of training companies that go around the country, they do their little song and pony dance, and they talk about how it works kind of more or less everywhere. Well, real estate is not bought and sold, at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So you need to know what laws apply here, and which contracts you use here, which strategies are legal and not legal here, and that's what we cover at the workshop. So this is world-class training taught by Texans, to Texans, for Texans. And then the best thing about it is you can get it for free because we want everybody to be trained. Now, just because it's free doesn't mean it's valuable. The vendors are supplementing the cost of it because normally it's $1,000, but because you're here, vendors are paying your ticket. So this is way better than one of those $1,000 workshops from some out-of-state guru that doesn't have a network of vendors that pays for it. So the flipping workshop is a 3-day workshop, actionable, practical, step-by-step training where we go deep on the 12 different real estate investing strategies. We talk about all of the 65 different methods of finding off-market wholesale deals, and we even talk about the closes. The closes are the exact words you say to get somebody to accept your solution to their problem, your offer on their property. How to partner with local experts. Great way to get started is through partnering. Okay, how do you partner? People always say, well, why would somebody partner? Why would somebody, if I'm a rookie and I don't know anything, why would an experienced investor want to partner with me? Well, I'm going to give you all a fact of life and some advice to go along with it. This is a fact of life. If you ever want to do business with somebody operating at a higher business stature than you, how do you do that? And the answer is you're going to have to help them before they're going to help you. That's life. You have to give before you get. So what could you possibly do to get a multimillionaire real estate investor to want to partner on a deal with you? Bring them a money-making deal because that's what they want. And we have a lot of experienced people that do exactly that. Learn how to access funding. We have over 1,000 private money lenders in this network. Private money is cheaper, faster, better, more reliable than hard money or any other kind of money. If you have private money, you have a competitive advantage. Experiential learning at its very best. So it's a 3-day workshop. It's taught right here. I teach this myself with a team of experts, but I'm the main speaker for all 3 days. We teach it live and in person. I recommend you come live and in person. You can also come online because we simulcast on Zoom as well. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because we have some workshops coming up fast, and I'll put the dates up. We have a second workshop that is our commercial workshop. I recommend you do both. Usually people come first to the residential and then they go second to the commercial. That's completely up to you. So the dates are shown here on the screen. We got a 3-city tour, Dallas, Austin, and Houston. We have 2 between now and the end of the year in Austin and Houston. Houston is just in another 2 weeks. And then we got Dallas in early January. So pick the date that works best for you. Come live and in person. I recommend that. We will have tables and we won't be crammed in. Or come online. That's completely up to you. Now, I'm going to hand out a form a little bit later, so we'll get you guys registered. For you guys online, we'll post the form online so you guys can get registered. If you register today, good news, it is free. If you don't register for today, that's better for us, but you're going to have to pay. So we'll give you a form a little later. But what I want to do now is I want to get back to all of the investing strategies. So let's talk about some of the other strategies. Okay, letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer. And the question is, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. So I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their house. I'm not kidding. Because here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then you think about it. You make the offer, and then you look at the money. Look for the money. You should make everybody an offer. Why not? Do you know that every time you simply make somebody an offer, you actually get 4 different options? You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you could buy a house, because they might say yes. If you take 300 shots on goal, what do you think is going to happen? Something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what do you think is going to happen? More go in, because with practice, you don't suck anymore. So yeah, just make 300 offers. Something's going in. Option number 2, you can terminate the offer after you make it. Do you guys know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just terminate, rip it up, walk away, no harm, no foul, no risk, no cost, no penalty? Option number 3, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. Do you know it's much, much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody that calls you back is saying they might want to sell, i.e. they want to negotiate. Option number 4, you can sell the contract to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options required you to come up with any money to buy a house. My point is, just make offers, give yourself options. Just take a lot of shots on goal. The people that figure this out sooner rather than later are the ones that get money sooner rather than later. There's no risk. One of the big rookie mistakes is people try to learn everything before they do anything, right? They want to know everything before they do anything. Right? Making offers is a zero risk proposition. If it works, you make a lot of money. If it doesn't work, you don't lose anything. So make a lot of offers and start doing that very, very soon. Okay, what are some of the other marketing methods? FSBO, for sale by owner. Why would somebody try to sell their own house? Maybe they're lazy, maybe they're crazy, maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer. HUDs, REOs, door knocking. Why so many different marketing methods? Well, would you rather fish with a hook, or would you rather fish with a net? And the answer is you need to learn to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you the numbers. I'm going to teach you something right now that it took me 2 years of hard work in the trenches to figure out. So I'm going to shave 2 years of your learning curve right now. By 2005, I'd been a real estate investor for 2 years. And I calculated in my first 2 years, I generated about 400 leads. A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So in other words, I was looking at a house every couple days for the first couple of years. And then I did the math. And here's what I discovered. As a rookie, for every $100 I spent on paid marketing, things like direct mail, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. As a rookie, for every 3 hours I spent on personal marketing, things like driving for dollars, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered that as a rookie, on average for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So let me do the math for you. That means as a rookie, every time I drove around for 60 hours, I made at least $20,000 net profit. That means as a rookie, every time I sent out $2,000 in direct mail, I made at least $20,000 in profit. Spend $2,000, make $20. Spend $2,000, make $20. Spend $4,000, make $40. Spend $8,000, make $80. Spend $16,000, make $160. Spend $32,000. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years. 2 years of hard work to figure that out. But after 2 years, I realized, holy cow, this whole business is just a numbers game, and now I know the numbers. And I actually started to think about this business in a completely different way after I figured that out. You see, I now see this entire business, like the whole thing, my business, is just a little black box. And we're going to call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works, every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. So if you had a little black box where every time you stuck $100 in one end, $1,000 popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them. Yeah, I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor because I finally knew. I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time, 6-figure guys who work for me to this day, who spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. And today, some months I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you know it's a numbers game, and once you know the numbers, then it's just on. It's on. You dial it in, and then you dial it up. Sometime later, I actually wrote a book on real estate investing. I don't offer the book anymore. I don't find books to be honestly very helpful when it comes to learning real estate. It took me a while to understand that. I bought a bunch of books when I got started. It was a complete waste of time. Now I understand it. The problem with real estate is this. It's not that complicated. It really isn't. I went to engineering school. That was complicated. I had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really complicated. I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering and calculus that's a mile deep, the thing about real estate, it's a mile wide. It's not complicated, there's just a million little details. Learning real estate is really more like learning a language than learning a skill. But you can't learn a language from reading a book, a complete waste of time. Go read 100 books on how to speak Spanish. You'll learn how to count to 10, maybe if you're lucky. It doesn't work. There's only one way to learn a language. How do you learn a language? You want to learn Spanish? Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom? You're going to learn some Spanish. You got to hear things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times. It's not complicated, but it's just a language, right? And the same thing applies for real estate. So I read a bunch of books, I got nowhere. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, I got nowhere. And then I joined my local real estate investor association. And when I actually joined my local real estate investor association and started hanging out with real estate investors and hearing things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times, that's when I started picking up enough of the details to do it myself. So we're about to do the last part of this presentation, which is the strategies, arguably the more interesting part of the presentation. But if you remember at the beginning of this presentation, I said my job is to make you all into educated, contributing members of this community, and we really want you to be educated and participatory. You see, we do these meetings all over Texas, and we always have new people that come to the meetings, and we call the new people tourists, right? Nothing wrong with that. Like, honey, let's go check out the REIA, right? Nothing wrong with that. But we figured out a long time ago, unfortunately, nobody makes any money being a tourist. We need people to actually be active. Buying, selling, partnering, lending, borrowing, that's where the money gets made, when people are actually doing stuff. But I also figured out a long time ago that unfortunately, I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only figure out how to sprinkle pixie dust on everybody's head and turn them all into real estate investors in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do that, but I can, and I have turned a lot of people into real estate investors over a period of 24 hours. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, where we have the time to get through the nitty-gritty details of how this business actually works. And this is why the Texas REIAs and Flipping.com sponsors the Texas REIAs Flipping 3-day workshop. Practical, actionable, detailed, step-by-step training of Texans, teaching Texans how to invest in Texas, with all the strategies that are legal in Texas, all the marketing campaigns for finding off-market wholesale deals, and all of the closes. What are the closes? The closes are the exact words you say to get somebody to accept your solution to their problem, your offer on their property. So I'll give you an example. Recently, I got a woman here in Texas to give me her house. How did this happen? You've probably heard of Jack and the Magic Beanstalk, right? Everybody's heard that story. Jack had magic beans, okay? I have something way better. I have magic closes. Closes are the exact words you say to get somebody to accept your solution to their problem, your offer of the property. So using these magic words, I simply found this woman, I said magic words to this woman, and after I uttered these magic words, she gave me her house. Beautiful house, nothing wrong, perfect condition. The house didn't have to give her any money at all. I didn't have to come up with financing, didn't have to get a loan, didn't have to do anything. And I didn't have to give her a penny. She just gave me the house. Here's my house, here's the deed, here's the keys. Thank you for taking this beautiful, wonderful house off of my hands. Thank you for taking the house. So let me ask you guys a question. Who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical right now. Okay, who's not feeling skeptical? Seriously, you believe that? Really? I just said that I have magic words and some woman just handed me her house and you believe me. Is that what you're telling me? Okay, well, how about you? Do you believe me? Jeremy? You don't believe me. You're skeptical. You're thinking, that's ridiculous. Magic words, somebody just gives you their house. Okay, a lot of you are skeptical. That's okay, I'm baiting you. I want you to be skeptical. Please keep your skepticism. Remain skeptical. Because in a couple of minutes, I'm going to demonstrate exactly what I said. And the more skeptical you are right now, the more amazed you're going to be when you see how it actually works. But those are the closes. Learn how to partner with local experts, how to access 1,000 private money loan opportunities. Thousands of the most successful investors in Texas got started at this workshop, The Real Deal, Texans Teaching Texans How to Invest in Texas using strategies that work here. So 3-day workshop, we do it live and in person, and we also simulcast on Zoom online, and you can come and join us for free, so please do. Some of the topics we're going to talk about, this is cool, how to buy the best properties. We have heat maps that'll show you exactly where to buy and hold, where you never want to buy and hold properties on a street-by-street basis, neighborhood-by-neighborhood basis. How to get off-market deals from outsourcing. That's what I do. I don't have time to do it myself, so I outsource just about everything. How about how to get paid offering free house remodels. This is my favorite strategy. I offer to remodel anybody's house for free. I make a fortune by remodeling people's houses for free. That's a cool trick. How about how to get 3% mortgages? There's a new loan product, 3% interest, no money down, no credit check, no loan application, no paperwork. Yeah, everybody's like, oh man, I missed my opportunity to get the 3% mortgage. There's a new loan, 3% mortgage, no money down, no credit check, no paperwork, okay? Who's a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're a little skeptical right now. Okay, that's expected. I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna make you wait. I'm gonna show you that one in just a couple minutes because it's pretty awesome and fantastic. How about how do you use AI? This is what I do. I don't have time to call 10,000 people, so I have a chatbot that does it for me. So that's kind of cool. How about how to use virtual assistants? I have 14 virtual assistants that work for me in the Philippines. And they're all college educated. They're very smart, hardworking. But because of the exchange rate, you know, it costs a lot less to hire people there than it does to hire people here. So that is the workshop. Like I said, we're doing it live and in person, and we're also going to be simulcasting online, so you can come live or you can come online. These are the dates. We'll show them again, January, December, and December. Limited 3-city tour, so pick the location that you want and come and join us live and in person, or you can come online. I recommend you come live, though. One other thing I'm going to tell you about. Please join the REIA. So the workshop is free, and we'd love to have you, but you can also join the REIA. And they say if you have the slightest interest in real estate, the very, very first thing to do is to be a member of your local real estate investor association. And I got to tell you, membership has its privileges. So who would like to have access to 20,000 buyers? Who wants 20,000 buyers? Okay, you should be a member of the REIA. Who would like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders? Who wants 1,000 private money lenders? You should be a member of the REIA. Who would like to access to 250 vendors that'll provide money, resources, contractors? Okay, you should be part of the REIA. And the REIA has many privileges and benefits. If you are a member of the REIA and then you come to the workshop, you come as a VIP. So what does that mean? It means you get preferred seating, you get VIP lunches and special sessions for the lunches as well. You become a member of the online group. That's where we meet every minute of every day online. That's where you get access to buyers, to money, to resources, to build your power team. You get a really cool Texas Money Resource Guide. You get a flipping training program. And we do special events online about every week. So you get all of that as a member of the REIA. If you have the slightest interest in real estate, you should become a member of the REIA. The Texas REIAs is also the only organization in Texas that spends money, a lot of money, to provide legislative action on your behalf, okay? The laws are not written for real estate investors, and sometimes the senators and the congressmen in the state legislature might think about passing laws that would make real estate investing harder to do, or in some cases illegal. In fact, just a few years ago, we came this close of having the wraparound mortgage become illegal. They're talking about making wholesaling illegal, seller financing. The lease option is no longer legal in Texas because of a law passed many years ago. Well, after that law was passed, making lease options illegal in Texas, we started this legislative action group to protect your rights. And we spend a lot of money to protect your rights, and it's paid for by the Texas REIAs. So you can join the REIA for a one-time cost of $250, but we have a special today on that as well. And if you join the REIA today, live, you can join for $100. That's a one-year membership. You will not be automatically renewed after the year, but you can certainly renew if you want to, but that makes you a member for the next year. You'll also get invited to the commercial workshop, something you want to do, and there's a lot of other benefits to being a member of the REIA as well. We also have this really cool training poster. We'll show you this a little bit later. And you definitely want to have one of these. These are the 273 things you need to know to be real estate investors. Come to the workshop. We're going to teach you how all that stuff works, but you also get one of those as a member of the REIA. So that is it. We're going to hand out a little form. And can you hand out the forms? And Josh, can you hand out the forms? For you guys online, we're posting a link online so you can get registered. Like I said, if you register today, then it is free. If you wait, you have to pay. So the form, yeah, thank you. Pretty simple form. Please fill out the form. So what is on the form? Let me put the form up on the screen so you can see it. Okay. It has the 3 dates, 3-city tour, 3 dates. So pick the workshop that you want to do. Austin, Dallas, Houston. It's the exact same workshop. We do live in the 3 cities. So pick the one that is the date that is right for you. And that is the date that's stamped on there is the first day. It's the Friday of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Print clearly so we can read it and send you your email. Tell us if you want to come live or online. If you come live, you can also go back and forth, by the way, okay, because we simulcast on Zoom. Notice that today the vendors have supplemented the price, so you get it for free to come to the workshop. Now, join the REIA. Please also join the REIA. You can all afford that, I'm sure. It's only $100 to join the REIA. If you join the REIA, you get all the benefits we talked about. And by the way, when you join the REIA, if you have a spouse, business partner, or significant other, you're actually going to get 2 VIP tickets to the workshop, so you can bring them as a VIP as well. Like I said, if you have the slightest interest in real estate, you definitely want to join the REIA. So the workshop is free, and the REIA is $100. If you would like to join the REIA, you really should. Give us a little bit more information about yourself so we can connect you with different services and vendors. And like I said, print clearly so that we can send you the proper confirmation as well. Now, I will post a little more information later, but we got a lot more material to cover first. But that's a little bit about the event. And those are the dates. The event is exactly the same on the 3 dates. It's just in a different city for the live part. So if for some reason one date works better than another, pick the date. Sometimes when I go to a workshop, I actually want to do it in a different city, even if I attend live just for fewer distractions. That's completely up to you. Now, if none of the dates work, if you have a conflict, for example, if your daughter's getting married, here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you cancel the wedding, because the most important thing, it's going to change your life in a good way, will be this workshop. All right, so, and I'll give you some more details about it later. Okay, so marketing, check. Let's talk about the strategies. Let's get into the strategies. People ask me all the time, what's the best strategy? There's so many different options. What's the best strategy? Well, there's a lot of different strategies for investing in real estate. For example, you can do short sales, you can do buy and hold, mortgage assignments, you can do auction options, you can do referrals, wholesaling, you can do contracts for deeds, lease options, you can do house swapping, wraparound mortgages, you can do equity partnering, and of course you can do fix and flip. And you can certainly spend a lot of time and money on all that training and education. In fact, my wife and I have actually spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars, books, etc. Most of it was great. Some of it was not great. It all sounded great, but I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on my education because we've made millions of dollars from our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people teach and how most people get taught how to invest in real estate. Because when you look at all of these strategies, here's the good news. They all work. All of these strategies can make you money investing in real estate. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. Each one of these strategies should be thought of as the solution to a specific problem or situation. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is finding the deal. So here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal. And he does some marketing. What does that mean? He generates a lead. What is a lead? Well, if he had gotten the right training, he would know how to solve this seller's problem with a strategy called a wraparound mortgage. That's what the lead needs, a wraparound mortgage, but that's not the training he got. This guy just went to one of those silly wholesale seminars. All he learned how to do was wholesaling. So he was looking for a wholesale deal, but he didn't find one. He found a wrap deal, but he didn't know how to do that. So he can't make any money on that strategy and on that lead. So what's he going to do? He's going to generate another lead. Well, now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could solve a problem and get a check, but he doesn't know how to do that because all he knows how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. So now what's he going to do? He's going to generate another lead with some more marketing. And now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem and get a big check, but he doesn't know how to do an auction option because, again, all this guy learned how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. Are you starting to see a problem? This is big rookie mistake number two. There's thousands of books and tapes and videos on how to get started investing in real estate. What most of that training says is this: you need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best strategy. No, this is the best strategy. No, this is the best strategy. Well, whatever. You need to pick a strategy, learn a strategy, make money on that strategy, and then after you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn some other strategy. And it sounds pretty good, and it feels pretty good, but forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to do this. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy, make money on one strategy before you learn the other strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And only after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on the one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous, and yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. Is it no surprise that 95% of real estate investors give up before they ever get going? So I'm going to show you what the top 5% of investors do, okay? And my advice is to play to be in the top 5% or don't bother. So here's how I do this, and here's how I teach this. What I do is I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. But what do I mean by I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money, it's called marketing, to get somebody with a problem to call you. If there's a way to help them solve the problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve the problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, guess what? We have a solution, a strategy for every problem there is. There is no exception. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers. We can help people that own their houses free and clear. We can help people that are hopelessly underwater, where they owe more money than the house is worth. We can help them, we can solve the problem and get paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. That's betting on all the numbers on the wheel. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to spin the wheel a lot. How do you spin the wheel a lot? Do a lot of marketing, look at a lot of deals, right? Take a lot of shots on goal. If you take enough shots on goal, some of them are going to go in. This is what the top 5% of investors do. 95% of real estate investors don't do that. 95% of real estate investors don't make money. And probably 99% of the wholesalers don't make money. So let's talk about wholesaling for just a minute. Wholesaling is one of the 12 strategies that we use and that we teach. In fact, it's the easiest one to teach. The problem with wholesaling, I would argue it's the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money. So I hear this a lot. Somebody comes to me and they say, I want to get started by wholesaling. Here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to do that end up giving up before they ever get going. Because if you're doing something that's a lot of work that doesn't make a lot of money, you're going to give up before you ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? That's because it's never been written, nor will it ever be written, because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. So we're going to learn how to bet on all the numbers on the wheel using all the different strategies, and then we're going to spin the wheel a lot. So how do you do that? You got to know all the different marketing. Oh, actually, first, before I get into the strategies, I'm going to tell you another story. This was my first big deal. My first big deal. Oops. Boom. That property there, that was my first big deal. After I was a real estate investor for just over 2 years, I flipped this house. And when I flipped this house, I actually made $291,000 flipping this house. Pretty good profit. But the more interesting part of the story is I was the 8th investor at bat. What does that mean? 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal and saw this deal before me and passed on the deal. So how's that even possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal, on an opportunity to make almost $300,000 on a house? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not just possible, it's actually typical. Let me tell you the rest of the story. First investor walks into this house and said, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't even afford to sell me the house. Second investor walks into this house and said, I'd love to buy your house, but you know, you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction project. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems, don't you? Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. I solved the problem. I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. 30,000 books and YouTube videos teach people how to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying. They get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting, hanging off of trees, yeah, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like, a big bundle of problems with a nice pretty bow around it. You see, I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab in the garage that exploded. I want a house that flooded. I want a house that has mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh yeah, you can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? Change your thinking. Right? Murder's not common, but stigma's common. So a stigma house. Okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Not much, like 20 cents on the dollar. Do you know what everybody says when they look at that house? They point at that house and they're like, that's a murder house. That's what they do. And then like a year later, everybody go and buy that house. They look at that house and they're like, man, something bad happened in that house. And a couple years later, they go and buy that house and they're kind of looking around and like, somewhere around here, something bad happened. And about 5 years later, they go buy that house, and what do you think they say? Nice house, how much? Stigmas go away. Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction. Okay, there's all kinds of stigmas, but the point is that problems are opportunities, and big problems are big opportunities. So if you're thinking, I don't want a problem, you're thinking you don't want to be an entrepreneur. So I'll give you another example. One of my students recently bought one of those $150,000 Teslas. He paid cash for it. And he calls this thing his air car. Air car. H-E-I-R, air car. Yeah, somebody died without a will. Do you know like 2 out of 3 people don't have a will? Light bulb. But they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, there's no way you're going to get 42 people to agree on something. Big problem. Well, he rolled up his sleeves, and it took a little effort, but eventually got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. Now he's driving around a $150,000 air car. Problems or opportunities, big problems, big opportunities. My competition was just a bunch of one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying, they get in the way at times, but they don't last long. So I got a little time left in this presentation. We're gonna wrap this up and we're gonna get into commercial in a little bit, but a little bit more time in this presentation to cover, let's say, 2 strategies. So the first strategy I'm gonna teach you today is wholesaling. Easiest one to teach, might as well teach it right now. How does this work? You simply find a property and get it under contract. How much money does it cost to get a property under contract? Nothing. I think we can all afford that. And then after we get the property under contract, instead of buying the property, we're going to sell the contract itself to another investor for a fee. All right, how much is the fee? I don't know, $500 to $5,000 for a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 for an average deal, $25,000 or more for a big deal. And this, my friends, is a no money and no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not actually spending or investing any money. And that's what we're doing with wholesaling. It's actually one of the 9 different strategies that are no money, no risk strategies. So let me show you an example of a deal. I like to teach with stories. When you come to the workshop, we teach you the strategy and the lesson. You just learn the theory, the lesson, but now we're going to tell you the story because you really learn from seeing how people apply the theory to real life. So this is an example of a deal. This is Kimberly. She joined the REIA, came to the workshop, and went out and did her first deal. She told me about this deal after it went down. Here's the story. Her mom was visiting her from out of town, so she's in the car with her mom, and her mom's like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? What are you talking about? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into this house and offered the seller $265,000 cash for his house, and he signed a contract. Now, obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Obviously, he was a motivated seller. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to the network. So let me tell you about the power of the network. You know, we meet every minute of every day online. You know, thousands and thousands and thousands of times over the last decade, the members of this community post their deals, questions, offers, resources, etc., back and forth on that network. So Kim just posted this deal out to the network, and guess what? Several other members of the network wanted to buy that deal, that contract from Kim. And one of the other members of the REIA ended up negotiating and paying Kim $17,000 for a contract. So Kim just sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So now what would Kim have done with the contract had nobody wanted to buy the contract? What would she done with the contract? Right? Terminate. If nobody wanted it, she would have ripped it up. No harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty. But she didn't need to. So then who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. Let me tell you about Tatiana. I know her pretty well. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract, right? Crossed Kim's name out on the buyer as the buyer, right? Wrote her name in, or really her company's name in. She paid Kim $17,000. The contract then became Tatiana's contract. Tatiana then bought the house for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. When the tenants moved out, she did a renovation, a small addition, and then she sold it after owning it for 12 months. When she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit that she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? Yeah, you bet. So let's see what we got here in the audience. Do a little poll of the audience. I want to get a little feedback from you guys. By a quick show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Who are my cash buyers? Okay, let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? 0. Well then, how much cash do you actually have to be a cash buyer? 0. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't even have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. So let me ask you guys another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call if you got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Does anybody know such a person? For example, who? Who? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here? Over here, guys. You know, and in fairness, right, there's hundreds of guys just like me that would be pleased as punch, right, if you guys got out there, got some properties under contract, you don't want it for yourself, pitch it back to the group. That's why we want you, that's why we need you, that's why we'll even train you on how to be educated and contributing members of this community. But I can tell I have my work cut out for me. So let me try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. There we go. Yeah, I love talking to a room full of cash buyers. The network instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with off-market deals. Instantly puts people with deals in connection with people with cash. Welcome to the marketplace, the wholesale marketplace. I said you don't want to fish in the retail marketplace, the retail pond, right? That's the small pond. That's the pond with the small fish, right? You want to fish in the wholesale pond, right? That's the pond with the big fish. So where's the wholesale pond? You're sitting in it. Yeah, a large network full of real estate investors, horse trading, wholesaling back and forth. All right, one more strategy, and we'll get into our next presentation. It's called buying a property subject to the mortgage. This is buying real estate even with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this strategy. I've literally taught this to tens of thousands of people. It is possible I am the national expert. I don't know about that, but I'm certainly a national expert. I've probably taught this to more people that have actually gone out and done it than maybe anybody. What does this mean, and how does this work? How does real estate work? When somebody buys real estate, how does that work? They go to a title company, they sign a stack of documents. Most of the documents are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's two documents that get signed at the closing that make the closing happen. The two documents that make the closing happen are the deed and the note. The deed and the note. Whosever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the property. Whosever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. Notice these are two separate documents, a deed and a note. Now, normally the same guy is on both. The guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note, he owns a house, and he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. The guy moves into the house, it's his house. And all the rights and privileges and responsibilities and benefits of home ownership, they go to him, it's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $2,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $2,000. Bank gets the check, they cash the check, bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And well, you know, Texas is a community property state, so when the guy gets married, the wife is added to the deed. Now there's two names on the deed, his and hers. There's two names on the deed, okay, but his name is still the only name on the note. Just because somebody's taken on or off the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check to the bank every month, or she starts sending the bank a check every month, or a tenant, or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? No. There's some dude sitting at the bank getting paid $9.82 an hour to open envelopes. He's like, oh, we got a check. It's for the right amount. It came on time and it cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to my story so far, I just told you all a story about a spouse, about a woman, about a person that was able to acquire real estate even with no money and with no credit. So there it is, a way to acquire real estate with no money and no credit. Pretty awesome, right? All right, so here's the really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal. Anybody, any of you, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage, from any lender on any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. Or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? The catch is you have to transfer the deed, hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. It's called buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. You can do this with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time. And the only person that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There's federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can buy and own that person's house even with no money and even with no credit. By simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody to take over the payment on their mortgage in exchange for them simply transferring the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. It's a very scalable process. Look, when somebody's in financial distress, they got a house, they got a mortgage. Is the house the problem, or is the mortgage the problem? Owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for a mortgage, that can be a big problem when you're in financial distress. If you solve the big problem by taking over the payments or finding somebody to take over the payments in exchange for solving the big problem, you ask them to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And that is buying a property subject to, simply agreeing to pay a seller's mortgage going forward in exchange for the deed. Now, when somebody hands you their deed, guess what? You own it. You can do whatever you want. You can renovate it and retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it, you can assign it, you can keep it as rental property, you can keep it as your own homestead if you like. I've helped many of my friends buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money when you're buying houses with no money and with no credit. Okay, small flip, at least 10 or 15,000, typically a lot more. And this is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me walk you through an example of a deal. So this is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I own here in Texas, rental properties. And I said earlier, man, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses traditionally, I mean, think about it. I'd have to put down 20% every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started investing 20 years ago. So how was I able to acquire $30 million worth of houses? Well, I'll show you right now that most of them were acquired using exactly this strategy, including this one. So let me tell you about this one. A woman owned this house worth $150,000. She only owed $110,000 on a mortgage. So this house has $40,000 of equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent, but the mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. Should have, could have, and it would have been a perfect rental property, except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she was living off of the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her door. Hello, can I help you? I am here to help you. But what can you do? There's no way to help. They're going to foreclose me. How can you help? What can you do? They're going to foreclose me. What can you do? How can you help? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all of your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a little bonus to go along with it. What do you call the bonus? You call the bonus a foreclosure. And I'm going to tell you what I told her. You don't want a foreclosure. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare. that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of your loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender, potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, buy a car, get a credit card, open certain bank accounts, or even rent certain apartments, or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head, and nobody wants all that. And I stopped all of that from happening to her, and she was thrilled, and the bank was thrilled. They didn't want the house back, they just wanted their money, so I gave them their money. And the tenants were thrilled. They didn't want to get kicked out of the house, they wanted to keep renting the house, so I let them keep renting it for me. But mostly I was thrilled, because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. Came with a loan, came with $40,000 of equity, all mine, came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I pay the bank $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket, and if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these houses. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So how many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Who would like me to walk you step by? Okay, we're all out of time. I'm sorry, we're almost out of time. Let me finish. I'll finish. I do love this deal. I do love this deal. But I'll bet you don't know why I love this so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle at all. What I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that is now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, our rental properties went up by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again, this thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this strategy. This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. Because I got to tell you, I don't care how much money you have, it's not enough. It's not going to help you. You got $500,000 in your checking account, good for you, go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, can't buy another house until you sell the first house. That doesn't scale, right? You got to be able to buy any property at any time at any price. The deal of a lifetime, it could land on your plate tomorrow. So you got to learn how to do this either with other people's money or with no money. That's the only way it scales. You don't have enough credit. I have great credit, doesn't matter. You can get a loan, you get another loan, 3 loans, starts getting tricky, 5 loans, 10 loans, starts getting impossible. Now you get commercial loans, it gets harder and harder. So you got to figure out how to do this without using your money. You got to figure out how to do this without doing your credit. This is how you do it. Remember I said a while ago, right? There's a new loan product, 3% interest on a mortgage with no money down and with no credit check and no documentation. Where do you get that loan? You're looking at that loan. Just find somebody that got a 3% loan a few years ago that's in financial distress and doesn't want to make their payments anymore and offer to make their payments for them going forward. You just got a 3% mortgage with no credit check and no money down. That's how you scale this, okay? And once I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I actually made one additional tweak to the strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them in my IRA. How many of you are aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Okay, well for the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. Yeah, come to the workshop. One of our vendors will set it up so you can do this with your IRA. So what happens when my IRA does this? My IRA issues the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the bank. The deed to the property transfers to my IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA. Every month, the IRA issues a check for $1,100 to pay the mortgage, and $500 rolls back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value, and it'll double again, And even at very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the mortgage over the next 25 years. What happens to the mortgage? It gets paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. In other words, every time my IRA does this deal, my IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then I own free and clear. And because my IRA, by the way, is also a Roth IRA, when I sell this asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? I just showed you how to make $1 million tax-free doing one deal one time, helping a woman out of a horrible situation from a $4,500 IRA, doing one deal one time, helping a woman out of a horrible situation, helping a bank not take a property back they didn't want back, helping tenants stay in a property they wanted to stay in, all that just doing this once. The average retired person at the age of 65 has a net worth of $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal one time, you would be 25 times richer than the average retired person just doing this once. But I've got to tell you, I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. And 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? Then they do it again. And then what do? And then they do it again. And again and again, and 20 years later, they're standing behind a podium at it's just a Hilton or a Marriott, I don't even remember, talking about all the times they did it. So one last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Who would like me to go through the details on this? Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna walk you step by step through how to find this deal, how to get it under contract, which contract to use, which attorney and title company to close at, and how to go through all the operational steps to do this. So that's what we're gonna cover. Now, unfortunately, that's gonna take about 3 days, so we're gonna have to finish at the workshop. And don't worry, that's not the only thing we're gonna talk about at the workshop. That's pretty cool, but that's just one of the 12 strategies. It's not even my favorite one. My favorite one is remodeling houses for free. You're gonna learn all 65 marketing methods. You're gonna learn the 10 sales closes. I just taught you your first close. That was literally called the atomic bomb close. What I just did, that was called the atomic bomb close. Right? Now think about that. Remember the marketing list I showed you before? I just got a list of people on the foreclosure list. I called the people on that list. I read those magic words, and then the woman just gave me her house and said, thank you. Rinse and repeat. Now, they don't all say that. Or only maybe 1 in 20 says that. But the question is, how many times can you make 20 phone calls that actually get answered? This whole thing is a numbers game. That's why we're talking about numbers. And that's how this business works. So we're going to learn all the strategies, all the marketing methods, all the closes. The workshop's in Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Please join the REIA. It only costs $100 to join the REIA, and you become a VIP at the workshop. The workshop itself is world-class, and it is free, so we'd love to see you there. Austin, Dallas, Houston, 3-city tour. Pick the city that is the best for you and come and join us live and in person, or you can also attend online. For you guys online, we're posting a link online, so you can join us online. Like I said, if you register for this today, it is free. You can also join the REIA. It's $100 to join the REIA. When you join the REIA, your guest comes with you for free as a VIP. You get access to 20,000 buyers, 1,000 private money lenders, investors that can raise money for you for commercial deals, and on and on and on. $100 if you join the REIA. You also get a really cool poster, the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor as well. So fill out the form and fill it out online if you're online. If you didn't get a form, you can ask for one on the way out of here. A couple of other housekeeping notes, and we're going to get into our next presentation. We've got a commercial presentation and market update to do. But a couple of other little housekeeping notes. We do post all of our training and presentations on our social media. So just look for Texas REIAs. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. So come join us online. Details for the workshop itself. We're live and in person. I recommend you come live and in person. We will have tables, so you're not going to be crammed in like sardines. And we simulcast. If you need to leave early or do the simulcast, we have that option as well on Zoom. It is 24 hours spread out over 3 days. We start every morning at about 8:45 a.m. So get there before that, get a good seat. If you're a VIP, you get one of the best seats. We go late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. How late? Kind of depends on you and how many questions you guys ask, but I'm going to guess we'll probably go to about 7:30 Friday, 7:30 Saturday, and then we end up early on Sunday. Bring a notebook. You're going to fill the entire thing with notes, ask questions, and be engaged. And if you bring your significant other, which I recommend that you do, and you're a member of the REIA, they become a VIP as well. A couple of quick questions. How much experience do I need? 75% of the people that come to the workshop are newbies. So most of them are newbies. 25% are experienced, but looking to learn some of the advanced strategies. Can I bring my significant other? I highly recommend you drag them by force if necessary. And I'll tell you why. Because if you don't, here's what's going to happen. You're going to learn some really cool stuff. You're going to go out and find a deal. You're going to run home and you're going to say, honey, guess what? We're buying a house. And what do you think honey's going to say if honey didn't come to the workshop? What, are you crazy? You're going to lose all our money. Trust me, I will make it interesting. I can't tell you how many people weren't even interested. They got dragged to the workshop and they became the ones that picked up the ball and ran with it. And yes, if you're a VIP, your guest is a VIP as well. How do I know this is the real deal? You know what? Don't ask me. Ask somebody that's done it. I invite everybody that comes to the workshop to fill out a feedback form, handwritten. We scan them all, we post them on the internet. Don't trust anything you see on the internet unless it's a handwritten feedback form. And there's thousands and thousands of these. Why would we post everything on the internet for the whole world to see? Go look for yourself, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. 99 out of 100 all say exactly the same thing. Oh my God, this was literally a life-changing experience. And if you don't believe me, look and see what 1,000 other people said. Where do I get my tickets? Fill out the form. When you leave, they're going to give you a receipt. They're going to give you your tickets and a little letter that explains some of the other details of the workshop. Registering for the workshop is free. Joining the REIA makes you a VIP and is $100. All of you can afford that, so you really should be a part of the REIA. And by the way, the date. Pick the date that works best for you on the form. A couple of days before the workshop, we're going to call and or text you to RSV because we got to know how many people are coming live and how many people are coming online. So we're going to RSVP you a day or two before the workshop. If for some reason something comes up and you need to change the date, we can reschedule you at that time. But just pick whatever date is best for you. If you want even more help, join the freaking REIA. It's only $100. That's where you can interact with me and all the other members of this vast organization.